Hello, everybody. It is back for a podcast here on the Bagel with everyone already knows Owen and a new special guest, the Big Thump, and Nate.
Yeah.
So Nate, we just got finished watching the Ohio State Nebraska game, and it was crazy because Nate's a huge Cornhuskers fan, and he just watched them lose. So he's in a bad mood here.
Yeah, we got Nate in a bad mood. But in all seriousness, Nate is leaving for
Texas.
for college, and
Can't wait for college.
In a few months from now.
no, he's leaving tomorrow.
Oh yeah, in a few months from now.
Yo, stop! You cannot have that on. You cannot have that on during the recording. Stop! Turn it off.
But yeah. Anyways, college football landscape has gone crazy. With all these teams losing, and Oregon's one of the only undefeated teams.
Yeah.
So-
No, that's not true.
So, do you guys think Oregon will win the national championship, like everyone's saying?
No.
Why are you talking like this?
What?
This is the most weird way I've heard you talk.
All right, but
All right.
who is gonna be the 12 teams in your guys' playoff prediction?
All right, Nate, you start this off.
Alright,
I have a cough up my mouth.
so I think the 12 teams. Let's see, I think there's going to be 3 teams, maybe 4 teams. I don't know.
Only 4 out of the 12.
So I think Oregon makes it, Ohio State makes it, Penn State makes it.
That's 3.
On the fence about Indiana.
That's 3.5.
Let's see, I think Georgia makes it, Texas makes it. And honestly, I don't know who else from the... I mean, another SEC team, at least 1 or 2 more is going to make it. I just don't know which one.
LSU.
Tennessee? Tennessee, yeah, I can see Tennessee making it. Yeah, Tennessee will probably make it. I forgot about Tennessee for a minute.
What about Clemson?
What about Kentucky?
Kentucky. No. So let's see, that's like, what, 7 teams right there?
Yeah.
That's almost half.
I know. Let's see, I think,
Miami.
What are you looking at?
I think Iowa State's going to make it.
Oh, yeah, there could be a few Big 12 schools in there.
Iowa State. I think there's going to be 2 ACC teams in it. I think it's going to be Miami and Clemson.
Not Pitt.
No,
Pitt's undefeated.
I know Pitt's undefeated, but I don't. I just think that Miami and Clemson are better.
Oh.
Well, Oregon just scored.
Though I will say it was very impressive watching watching Pitt freaking score like 21 points in the first half on defense alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They play SMU next week.
Yeah,
So
SMU's not bad neither.
Yeah.
What about Boise State? What about those teams from the obscure conferences that nobody gives a fuck about?
I think Boise State will make it.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, the
What is
group of 5 team automatic, the highest ranked group of 5 conference champion automatically gets a bid.
Oh yeah.
Well, what about Army? Navy just got destroyed, but what about Army? Do you think they can make it?
They
They'd
could.
have to win out.
As a Marine, what do you think?
They could, but they'd have to win out. And even then, I'm not sure. Like, I don't know. I think Notre Dame will probably beat them though.
When they play next week, right? Or 2 weeks from now?
No. They play Air Force next week, then North Texas,
What?
then Notre
Oh
Dame.
my god. They have an onslaught.
Yeah. What about Vanderbilt? You don't
Dude,
think
Vanderbilt.
They have
Well, they have to get through Texas first.
and they might
Hey,
win.
Vanderbilt owns Texas.
No, they don't. When have they ever beaten them?
Bro, look it up.
I can't-
Vanderbilt has a winning record against Texas.
Let me see this.
Jay Cutler. Oh,
Bro, Vandy owns Texas.
What the heck is going on? I have no internet.
what's your place? You should have the internet. Texas has played multiple times and don't have an all-time winning record. The
What?
Commodores are 8-3-1 against the Longhorns. This does, however, come with the caveat that these programs haven't met in 96 years.
There you go.
Hey. A winning record's a winning
Vanderbilt
record.
was probably alive to see his team beat Texas.
Hey, a winning record's a winning record. All right.
And Tech.
Freaking Martin Scorsese was probably alive to do that.
Yeah, he's long dead now.
Yeah.
But
If he dies when this podcast gets uploaded, that'd be pretty bad timing.
it would be sad because he has 2 movies coming up that he
Yeah.
still wants to work on.
They're gonna be terrible.
He's making another Jesus movie, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
And then he's making a biopic, a Frank Sinatra biopic.
I thought oh yeah, no. Well, is it Passion of the Christ that he's making the second one?
No, that's Mel Gibson.
There's a sequel to a Jesus movie. I
Yes.
wonder what's gonna happen. Is he gonna come back?
Yeah.
He's gonna come back.
This is funny.
It's gonna be a horror movie.
His resurrection.
It's gonna be. I would love to see a Jesus horror movie.
I don't think that would bode well with the Catholic
that's
Church.
why. No, that's why you release it in the Middle East, and then they'd be like, oh, "This is a great movie."
Yeah, they'd be like, "Oh,
Don't release the Middle. Actually, yeah, do release in the Middle East.
It's a Middle East release only."
But it's all white people in the film.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they didn't get a tan.
Well,
Yeah.
that'd be good.
But-
And then the meatball sub at Subway.
Yeah. So your guys' favorite generals are Montgomery and Napoleon.
Montgomery.
Yeah, you're probably right about Napoleon.
Napoleon, sure, Montgomery.
But Nate's is
nah.
Montgomery.
No,
British.
it's not. No.
Oh, sorry, Dwight Eisenhower.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh,
Sorry, Pepe Le Pew.
dude.
Yeah.
Holmes is General Patton.
Yeah, Patton's pretty cool.
What's your favorite general? Naticus.
Naticus.
Naticus. I don't know.
Never heard of that one.
Yeah.
Not
I'll tell
Genghis?
you. The most overrated general is Robert E. Lee.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that guy was a nerd.
No.
Bro couldn't win outside of Virginia.
My 2 favorites are probably Patton and Zhukov, 2 World War
Yeah.
II generals.
That's fair. Patton's a pretty good one.
Yeah, Zhukov was just Russian Patton, if you will.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Lee, he's actually related to Washington.
Oh.
Yeah.
And Zhukov is related to Jesus Christ.
All right, not get crazy.
Well, we're all related to Jesus, technically.
We're all related to everyone if you think about it.
No, not the Rick.
Rick.
Yeah.
Who the hell's Rick?
From The Walking Dead.
Genghis
Not related to
Khan
that
was-
guy.
Because he's a fictional character.
Exactly.
Genghis Khan was pretty good.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, he was a
you
great
cons-
man.
You consider him a general though?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
he
leading
was a
his men.
general. He was leading his
general.
men.
More of a.
Like Napoleon, yeah, he was leading his men too.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
this
he
guy
a-
was also a great general.
Kalita Bino. Frederick the Great. He's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frederick was alright.
All right.
Yeah.
Name 50 Prussians that were better than him.
William Sherman.
William
Sherman.
Stop you there. William Sherman.
Right.
He was a great general.
Yeah, but not as good as Freddie.
Well, he was way better than Freddie.
What?
Freddie was like, "Oh, let's give him a chance, guys." Where Mr. Sherman was like, "Let's burn it all to the ground."
No, Sherman was like, what about my uncle? Did you give him a chance?
Did you? Because yeah, Frederick killed his uncle.
What a stupid meme.
The Duke of Wellington.
Yeah.
You guys like that guy?
Isn't he
The first Duke, Arthur Wellesley.
Isn't he an admiral?
It says the first Duke. Oh yeah, he was an admiral also at a point in time.
Well, he mainly led troops in the sea.
But he
He
was
was
the
the guy-
he was the big guy against Napoleon.
Yeah, he was the guy against Waterloo.
Yeah.
Ah, that's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Who am I thinking of?
I don't know. Probably Erwin Rommel, your favorite
I think I
general.
know who you're talking about.
The
'Cause
guy
he,
who got killed
Trafalgar.
in the Battle of Trafalgar.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Admiral Nelson.
Yeah.
Oh, Nelson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shrek. Oh, you guys missed Shrek.
I think it was Admiral Horatio Nelson.
Yeah, that's who it was.
And also, I guess we could do a podcast about generals. It's interesting.
Sure.
Speaking of overrated, Robert E. Lee is on best generals of all time.
Bro, he's fucking overrated. and I would die on that hill.
He's the best general of all time in the Confederate States of America.
Alright, sure, yeah.
What about Stonewall Jackson?
He sucks. Did we have an argument of like a few months ago where I was like Stonewall Jackson was great and you were like he was terrible?
Yeah, that was flipped. No, he was pretty bad. But if you just look up best general of history, the guy that comes up is Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
The result is mathematics prove it. But
He's pretty good.
everyone is arguing
If we're doing
that
mathematics,
Julius Caesar and Duke of Wellington are up there.
If we're
too.
doing mathematics, Alexander the Great's the legitimate.
Julius
undefeated.
Hey, Julius Caesar though, he was a
He was a dog,
yeah.
as you say.
Yeah, he was a dog, dude.
His tactics were crazy. And also it was kind of funny how people just, like, in the war, just, like, liked him more.
Let's go even
When he was
before-
fighting Pompey. They're like, well, just Caesar's cooler. Let's just go
Yeah,
over
let's
this.
just,
We always
he's
talk
pretty
about the
cool.
victors here for a second. Let's go even before Caesar. Let's go Hannibal Barca.
Yeah, he's cool. I mean, he's even on the top because of what he got into Rome.
Yeah, he got into Rome.
Yeah.
The big problem with that
him
was
losing.
Rome would just.
What about the
Fucking,
guy that smacked Hannibal, Scipio Africanus?
Scipio
Scipio
Africanus.
Africanus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the best Roman general until
Well, the thing
Caesar.
with Scipio Africanus was he didn't really like fight Hannibal in Rome. He was like, you know what? I'm not gonna fight this guy
No,
in
he was
Rome.
smart.
I'm just gonna go to Carthage right now.
Yeah,
Because-
he's destroyed.
No, because like every general that Rome had that tried, I guess a states general that tried, or not a states general. What was it called? The consuls.
Consul.
Yeah, at
The
time,
consuls. I was thinking of the French for the states. general.
Yeah.
But the consuls would always go at Napoleon or no,
Napoleon.
at Hannibal because he was because they were like cocky and they only had 1 year as as
Yeah, consul.
Yeah, it's
consuls.
consuls.
So they would try and attack him and get him defeated instantly, and Hannibal was smart and basically always beat them head on with fewer men.
But Hannibal's
So then-
issue.
Well, finally, Rome just said, you know what? We're
Let's
just not gonna
take
fight
it
this
to
guy.
Carthage.
Yeah,
We're just not gonna fight this guy.
And it's sad Hannibal had so many internal issues with his own government that they didn't, like, he
Well,
couldn't
yeah.
ever keep it control.
Well, Hannibal's dad basically left Carthage for Spain without telling the Carthaginians to get silver mines so they could pay off their debt after losing the First Punic War.
Yeah. Here's, let's go to this guy, Attila the Hun,
Ooh.
who's always
Oh,
referred. He's
yeah,
a
he
very
was-
interesting empire.
Those steppe nomads,
Yeah.
they were hard to deal with.
Yeah, but
Like,
Attila
the
himself,
Hun.
he kind of perfected it, because there's already hundreds and hundreds of years, but
Yeah.
by the time he came around, he was like, alright.
Yeah.
Even though he wasn't the one to technically completely
Yeah,
topple, but
never followed freaking, those steppe nomads in like
Visigoths.
Eurasia. Visigoths?
yeah, Visigoths and Ostrogoths, and there's other Goths too. Those are the two noble big ones. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Was it the Visigoths that actually were the ones that
I think the
went into
Visigoths.
the gates?
I think the Visigoths were the one that actually sacked Rome.
Okay, and
Yeah.
the Ostrogoths were just nerds. Ostrogoths, I think, were the guys that took over Spain, too. What's the Spanish
Yeah, 'cause
area?
I'm pretty sure.
And then later the Moorish
That
popped up
Iberian
and kicked their
Peninsula.
ass.
the Moors, yeah.
And then the Moors got their ass kicked by the Gaul, what was formerly Gaul, and Constantine, not Constantine, Charlemagne was the
Yeah.
guy that kicked their ass. Yeah. But Charlemagne was an interesting guy.
Yeah,
I don't think he's known as a general.
he's more of a known as a good king though than a good
Yeah,
general.
king,
Yeah.
general.
I mean,
but-
even though he was still a pretty good general, but
yeah, because he was the one that put, like, the Muslims invaded
Sorry. everybody.
the Pyrenees, and he was the one that was known for pushing them back.
he also did a lot against the fucking Vikings too.
Well, yeah, in the north.
Yeah.
He had so it's crazy how he kind of kept the European world somewhat together post Rome, because everything was going wrong, and he was trying to keep.
Well, here's
it
the thing
together.
though. I find it crazy how they how the Pope like made him like the Emperor of Rome,
Yeah.
even though there was already a Roman Emperor. Because the Byzantines were still around.
Yeah, but nobody liked the Eastern.
Yeah, no one
Orthodox.
liked them, but like they were still known as Roman Romans back.
Yeah.
Like back
At least in Europe, everyone was like, "Oh, well, you're all out east. We
Yeah.
got our own issues." So yeah. But another guy, William the Conqueror.
Yeah, he's all right.
He's all right.
Battle of Hastings.
William the Bastard, as he was formerly known.
Yeah, but he coined the term the Conqueror after the Battle of Hastings.
Yeah, he did. Well, yeah, because he won.
Yeah.
I think the guy he beat was a guy named Edward. I forget.
Yeah, I think it was one of the Edwards.
And then he beat a couple of guys. He beat the Norse and the
Oh yeah, the
English.
Norse king dude.
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
Norse
yeah.
dude, like, didn't they, like, they should have beaten William, but they got outmaneuvered?
They were
Or
stupid.
wasn't like
No,
that?
I'm pretty sure.
Because
no,
didn't they have the advantage, but they screwed it up
no,
somehow?
no. So I think what happened was William the Conqueror wasn't the one that actually fought Harold, the one guy, the Norse dude. It was the Edward guy. Edward beat the
Yeah,
Norse.
he beat the Norse.
And
And
then
then
he
he
swooped in and
he
beat them.
ran back down because William was invading from down south, and then at the Battle of Hastings, and then
Yeah, Nate's
William,
right. Nate's right. Edward.
William ended up
Yeah.
beating him.
Yeah.
So he just let them fight each other, and then okay.
Yeah, and then he came in and swooped up.
That's smart. I don't even. This guy fought against the Moorish kings. I'm assuming this is when Spain was getting back together. But Rodrigo Diaz de Vivar, you know him?
Nope.
He
I've
fought.
never met him.
He fought against. He fought. Better known as El Cid Diaz. He fought in 1044 to 1099. So when the Spain was taking back Spain against the Moorish kings.
Yeah,
So that's interesting.
that's a pretty cool guy.
There's
Yeah.
also I'm gonna look up stuff too in a second once my thing works, but there's generals that we don't even think about because we focus on Europe all the time.
Well, yeah, Saladin, which is where I
Yeah.
want to go to. Saladin fought against the Crusaders.
I think Akbar of the Mughal Empire was
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah. The old Persian kings.
Well, yeah,
Cyrus the Great.
Cyrus the Great
Yeah,
was probably
Cyrus.
the greatest. Xerxes was all right.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Persians have a cool history.
The cool thing with Persia is we know so much about the Persian Empire, like the western part of it, because that's where like the Greeks were and all that stuff. And we can read like ancient Greek and all that stuff. We don't know much about what was going on in the eastern half.
Yeah, it's just, and a lot of it too was like, in terms of written history, we don't have a lot of it until Genghis Khan.
Yeah. It also has to do with the reason why we know the Western Persian more than we know Eastern Persian is because of the fights that the Persians would get into on the West as well.
Yeah.
With the Greeks and all that.
Yeah.
Because we know it from the Greek side.
In almost most of
Right.
recorded history is thanks to Europe right now
Yeah.
because of centuries of destruction, stuff
Right.
they destroyed. I think, I think it was when Genghis Khan was around. They literally destroyed an empire. Just destroyed
Genghis
it.
Khan is pretty much the reason why, like European, like that civilization became like the preeminent, like dominant one.
Yeah.
Because like China was above the Europeans. I would say at that time the Middle East was above the Europeans, and the Mongols just pretty much decimated both of them.
Yeah, and Europe was so scared that what was going to happen.
Europe thought they were about to get like decimated by the Mongols, and every time the Mongols were about to like commit to fully decimating Europe, the Mongol leader would die.
Yeah.
The great Khan would die, and it'd just be like, well,
Yeah, when I look up greatest Asian generals, I get obviously Genghis Khan and then every Chinese general.
Yeah,
So-
Japanese generals deserve some
Yeah.
recognition. Also, the I forget his name, the admiral to South Korea, probably South Korea's greatest general ever. He fought against the invasion of Japan when
Yeah.
Japan first invaded and it failed.
yeah.
But it was because the Korean armies were so incompetent they kept losing in the land. But his navy was so strong he kept kicking Japan's ass.
Impressive.
But yeah, I think he's known as one of the greatest admirals
Oh.
ever.
Yi Sun Sin?
Yeah,
Or whatever.
I think people call him the greatest emperor ever, maybe greatest admiral ever. Of South Korea or
Pros.
Korean history, really.
Cao Cao is good.
Yeah, the
Obviously Sun Tzu.
Sun Tzu. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sun Tzu was kind of the right hand man general to what emperor? I don't even know what emperor he was. For Sun
I
Tzu.
don't know. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what emperor he was with.
Yeah,
What dynasty was it?
yeah.
Was it like the Qin dynasty or something? I
I don't know. I think that's way later. Owen, Jamie.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Zhao dynasty.
Oh, the Zhao dynasty. Interesting. I know even little about the dynasty.
Well, the Zhao, I'm surprised you don't, because it lasted 800 years.
No.
Well, I remember like learning about the Zhao dynasty when World Civ.
I know more like in terms of Chinese history. I only kind of know 20th century.
Yeah, I don't really know much about. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know much about Asian history.
Japan.
Sun Tzu served King Hilu of Wu during the Eastern Zhou period of ancient China.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, Asian history. Japan, I know more probably than the others.
Yeah.
With China, it's tough because there's so much history that they have.
Yeah, underrated part of history is Vietnam.
Yeah.
Versus China rivalry.
Yeah.
Vietnam's always been very strong, even though nobody thinks. At least here in the United States, nobody thought about it until our war with them.
Selfishly.
Right.
But yeah, what else?
By the way, we butcher all these names all the time, but the greatest Vietnamese general is you want to try and pronounce this?
Is General Vo Nguyen Giap.
Alright, we'll try that.
Nguyen?
Who died in 2013.
Oh, was he for the NVA?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
That's what AI regards him as the greatest.
AI.
Interesting NVA. Let's go to Novgorod of ancient Russian history with Alexander Nevsky. He's a great leader. The Battle of the Ice, which sounds awesome. At Lake Pepys, he beat, you guys probably know these guys, the Teutonic Knights.
Oh,
yeah, he beat them. So, it's the most celebrated victory. The Teutonic Knights were just, like, failed crusaders, pretty much. They were awful. Yeah. They were just mercenaries that could never win.
I think the Crusades are, like, such a funny thing.
Yeah. Few of the Crusades weren't that bad.
Richard the Lionheart's overrated.
Some of them almost.
Cool
Some
name.
of the Crusades almost worked.
Yeah, the first Crusade I think was like they controlled it for the longest. Yeah,
and then the rest were just kind of like not good.
Yeah, and it's weird. It's debated on what is defined as a crusade because there's like some people debate how many there were.
Well, yeah, because not all the Crusades were against the Muslims in the Holy Land. You had the Great Northern Crusade, which was against like the Norse.
Yeah, and I think it was the 16th Crusade or whatever, where they gave Jerusalem to the Pope or to the Pope or something like that for a short amount of time for diplomatic reasons, because they were fighting over it. It may have been the 16th Crusade, but it was for a short. It was just a diplomatic thing
against the Holy Land during the period of 1096 and 1291. There were 8 major crusades. Yeah,
so there's 8 there. But it's weird when I learned in my history class in college. It was kind of like undetermined. It was like
how many crusades?
Yeah, because there might be 8 big ones, but it's
what do you consider a crusade?
That too, because there were so many attacks on Jerusalem through history.
Do you consider going to North America a crusade?
Well,
crap! BYU just ran a fake field goal.
I don't know if I would consider it a crusade, but I would consider it a.
Yeah, maybe more Manifest Destiny's more like a crusade than
maybe. Well, the thing is, a crusade could be anything. It doesn't have to be religious purposes.
Well, yeah,
so,
it's
like
a big movement.
Columbus was going for spices in India. That's a crusade to go get spice.
Yeah, a bit, but he was kind of just doing what he was employed to do. It wasn't some like righteous cause.
Well, he wanted to do it. He was the one who advocated.
But he was an explorer, though. He needed the funds. They paid him. He was doing his job.
I wouldn't necessarily say that was a crusade. That was just a guy exploring.
He was just an Italian dude that wanted to make money.
Do you think Dora is a crusader?
Well, yeah.
Dora the Explorer.
She has Spanish roots, so the conquistadors. But Edward the First, obviously, piece of shit.
Right.
Oh, Tamerlane.
Timur the Lame.
Yeah, Tamerlane is a cool guy. He was an Uzbekistani guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
back then.
But
Pretty sure there's like a city that's their capital is called Timur or some shit.
yeah, they were interesting because they were kind of those new guys to pop up that were
Yeah.
against the Genghis Khan and them, and against the West. They were like super powerful.
No, Uzbekistan's capital is Tashkent, which actually is in total drama, by the way. Because it's when Izzy was smart or whatever, and they were asking her questions.
She said
What's the
Tashkent.
capital of Uzbekistan? Tashkent.
Stan. Yeah. Oh, an Ottoman, Suleiman.
Suleiman the Magnificent.
Yes.
Good pronunciation, Nate versus Holden. Suleiman.
Suleiman.
I love that guy.
He was stopped at Vienna, though.
He was the it took the largest
The
cavalry charge
Hussars.
in history.
Yeah, the
It took
Hussars.
the winners.
Suleiman the Magnificent. Here's JFK.
JFK. JFK was great friends with Suleiman.
Come on, look at that hat, dude.
I don't really care for the Ottoman hats.
I don't care much for the Ottoman Empire,
Yeah,
to be
me neither.
honest.
It's alright.
It has good points in history. Honestly, the best point in history is when it crumbled, because Turkey's way better.
I think the funniest point in Ottoman history is when the Wallachians started owning them, and that's a small country.
Yeah.
And Vlad the Impaler.
But, because Vlad was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Francis Drake.
No, well,
He's
that's
known
a-
as a general,
That's an explorer.
which is interesting.
Francis
He's known as a
Drake.
general in,
TCU had
in
a
this
huge fly for
on
him.
historynet.com. They list him as a general.
That's
Well,
Nathan Drake's ancestry.
He's kind of yeah. He's known as a leader of a private army, which they consider to be a general. Okay,
yeah.
the English privateer. But yeah, he destroyed the Spanish Armada. So
Yeah,
cool guy.
cool guy.
Oh yeah, the Prince of Orange, Maurice of Nassau, Prince of
Yeah.
Orange, the Netherlands. Do you
Oh,
guys
yeah.
like Netherlands history?
Do you know what? Do you know what my
Don't know enough
favorite?
about it.
Do you know what my favorite thing of Dutch history is?
What?
When they ate their own prime minister.
Oh, that yeah.
That's my favorite story of fucking from Dutch history is when they ate their own prime minister.
Yeah,
That was crazy.
that was.
Crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say another crazy thing in the Netherlands. You would think like England or France, but Netherlands was actually the most literate country, the first
Yeah.
most
They were also,
literate
like-
country
They
per
also were
capita.
weren't they the only country to have successful trade with Japan?
Them and Portugal technically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Portugal doesn't count.
Well,
They're alright. They're alright. No,
um,
Portugal is one of the main countries that were like elite in Europe for a while.
yeah, their colonization was crazy, and they were way better than Belgium.
Yeah.
But
Belgium got a little too crazy in the Congo.
yeah,
A little.
It's funny that
Pretty
Belgium.
insane.
Like, there's a funny saying in Belgium. I watched like a historian talk about it, where he says like they just called it King Leopold II's backyard.
Yeah.
Is the
Well, yeah,
Congo.
because they didn't actually, when they gave it to Belgium, they didn't actually give it to the Belgian
Belgians.
government. They gave it to King Leopold.
Yeah,
So
They took advantage of that.
and he incited civil wars against the countries of today. Now Rwanda and Uganda and stuff.
Yeah.
He incited civil wars that still last today because they have farmers that are Ugandan and Rwandan that like took over mines in Congo, and they have constant fights over it. One of the fights is known as Africa's First World War because like millions of people were killed in
Yeah.
this thing. But next, let's go with the French generals that aren't
Very
Napoleon.
Very historical. Episode.
Rochambeau.
Rochambeau.
Yeah.
Hang on, like, do you mean? Do you
Who was the guy that led?
Napoleon's era?
No, well, not in Napoleon's era per se. Who was the guy that led?
Joan of Arc.
No.
That's not a guy.
Vichy France. He was a
Vichy
World War One general.
Oh, and that was a Patine, right?
Yeah, Pétain. Is that your guys' favorite guy?
No.
He's kind of stupid. He sided with the Germans, which really lasted long, didn't it? And it's funny.
Charles de Gaulle.
One of our first battles in the European theater was against the French, the Vichy French, when we landed in Africa.
Yeah.
Because there's I think there may be a thing where American soldiers talked about it where they didn't hear German, they heard French, and they were shooting at them. And they're like, wait a minute, what? And then they're shooting back because they didn't know about the Vichy French. But yeah.
Antonio Salazar, de Oliveira Salazar, during World War II is underrated. The leader of Portugal at the time.
Oh.
Kept them neutral, and they basically kept Spain out of the war also.
Yeah. Franco, the great.
Yeah, Franco, the nut job.
He was great. He kept everything under control.
Apparently, Hitler's not great, but one thing that Hitler said was, talking to that man is one of the worst experiences of my life. It was about Franco.
I just like to imagine you said it in like perfect English. Talking to that asshole.
It was crazy.
It was crazy. Here we go. John Jervis, during the Napoleonic Wars, was a British admiral. And he, when the French...
First Earl of St. Vincent.
Because the French sucked whenever they fought in
naval battles?
Yeah.
Well, it's tough to... If any country, it's tough to beat the British in a naval battle.
Yeah, the British kicked ass.
It doesn't matter what country you are. France was probably the second best country militarily at the time. And besides the British.
Yeah, but they could only win on land. And it just became a huge
they were
issue.
the best army. The British was the best navy.
The British taught that having a navy is arguably better.
Well, it helps if you're an island nation.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Island nation, you better have a good navy.
And you have all this good trade, and it just didn't work.
Whereas
well
for
enough.
France, they kind of needed a good army because they're in the middle of Europe, kind of. More on the west.
middle,
but-
Western
Yeah.
Europe. But yeah, but yeah,
they're meddling in everybody's affairs.
yeah. And Napoleon was like, "Everyone, listen to me," and everyone's like, "Yeah, all right."
Well, like everybody was meddling in their affairs, if you think about it.
I mean, yeah, kind of.
Everyone was meddling in each other's affairs at the time.
Yeah.
During the French Revolution, everybody in Europe was freaking out that the French sacked their monarch.
Well, yeah, they're like, if that's gonna happen to him, it's gonna happen to me.
Yeah, that's basically what they were saying. And the Austrians were pissed because they killed their queen, basically. Well, because she was Austrian.
Yeah, it is funny. Napoleon III, who
He was
kind
alright.
of
He was actually kind of underrated, but he was also
kind
a
of
doofus.
sucked.
He was a
His-
doofus.
Their military was
thing
way
is-
more powerful against the Prussians, and they got their asses handed
No, here's
to
the
them.
thing. If Otto von Bismarck didn't exist, Napoleon III would have a more successful story.
Well,
But
no
he did
shit.
exist.
Yeah, and he kicked his ass.
That's another good one, Otto von Bismarck.
Yeah, probably my favorite Prussian of all time.
Otto von Bismarck.
Yeah. The Prussians were awesome.
He was
they were
born
underrated.
Prussian, but died a German.
Yeah,
So-
which is depressing if you think of it. If they would have stayed Prussian, we would have had Hitler. We would have had all this mess.
That's not true.
Hitler would have been an Austro-Hungarian if that would have happened.
No, he probably would have.
And he would have just got killed by some
I think
Serbian
he would have
guy.
sided with Hungary or Austria in that.
Austria.
Well,
Austria.
Austria, but what happens is he tries to declare war against Hungary and he gets killed by some
Yeah, I
Serbian.
think it's so funny that freaking when World War One, Hitler tried to join Austria's army, and they were
They
like,
just-
no,
Yeah.
we don't want you. And then he goes to Germany, and they're like, yeah, we'll take you.
Well,
we'll
also-
take anyone.
Austria's
Yeah.
an idiot. No, they were the worst World War One team I've ever seen.
What do you mean? The Italians were great. They kicked their ass.
I didn't say the Italians. I said the Austrians.
No, the Austrians were still good, but the Italians were so good that they beat them.
No, the
so
Austrians.
good that there was 12 battles of that one river.
No, you know
Yeah.
who was good? The Bulgarians. The Bulgarians
Oh
were
my
great, and nobody talks about them because they were great.
Because they're terrible.
Well, they
Get
were
these
actually-
guys out of here.
They're actually one of the best performing. I think they're in the Central Powers.
Yeah,
They were
performing
the
in the
Central
bedroom,
Powers.
maybe.
They were. Yeah, Bulgaria. This is gonna be a hot take.
Yeah.
Bulgaria was the second best performing Central Power country in World War One.
Oh, wow.
Well, let's see. Austria was a train wreck.
Japan is underrated. They
weren't
kicked
in
the Germans'
Central
ass.
Powers. They were in the Allied powers.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
that's
allied.
true. Oh, Central Powers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, Ottomans really dropped the ball there.
yeah. The Ottomans in Austria-Hungary were terrible.
Yeah. They
I still don't. The Ottomans really dropped. They just let the West ravage the Middle East.
Well, the Middle East is not easy to maintain. It's
Yeah.
that is the middle geographically.
Right.
That is insane.
Bro.
it's also fun fact. That's when the term Middle East was coined. World War One post
I
by
think
the
it's so
British.
fun.
That's a coin
The
noise.
French
Yeah.
and British promised, like, yeah, you guys will be, free and independent and all that stuff, and then secretly did the Sykes-Picot agreement. It's like, yeah, we're gonna let
We're
these
free,
motherfuckers.
more like under new management. But in the end, I mean,
He's gonna make this kick.
it's made the Middle East hate the West even more today. So
Yeah.
it kind of paved the way today.
He nailed it.
Yeah.
But Israel, crazy guys.
Yeah, well,
Israel,
that's
crazy.
when that conflict kind of, it's been going on for thousands of years, but
Well, yeah,
that's when
it really
it really
sparked then.
escalated.
Yeah, because everyone was like, World War One, pre-World War One, really, it was like, yeah, everything's great, we're Palestine, and then it got destroyed.
The British were great there.
Yeah.
We're not gonna talk about that anymore.
Yeah, the British embassy got blown up by the Irish who helped them, the IRA, so it's all good.
The Irish were insane during World War One and Two.
The Irish just wanted to kill anyone who was British.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Whoever was British, that was all that mattered. It's funny that the Irish even, not the Irish government really themselves, but a lot of people supported Hitler just out of the hatred of the British.
Yeah.
But
Anything, like against, yeah.
But yeah. Oh yeah, let's go to one of the generals that beat Napoleon, Mikhail Kutuzov, a Russian general, when the Russians beat him.
The scorched earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did the picking away effect that no one talks about against the Russians, the French, where they just kept pulling back, but they kept picking away at French forces, killing important people. So that worked off. He deserves his respect, even though the British guy in Waterloo gets all of it.
Also, not a very easy country to invade.
Russia, yeah, it's a very hard country to invade.
Yeah. Except the Mongols. The Mongols successfully invaded Russia.
Mongols did it at the perfect time because Russia was all broken up of principalities, pretty much.
And they did it in the winter too.
Yeah.
The winter actually helped the Mongols out because it pretty much made all the waterways and all that stuff, and no one have to go across waterways.
The Mongols were smart though, because all they went to one principality and this had them team up against the other principalities because they couldn't get along.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we got all this money, all these resources, we'll kill everyone. And they're like, all right.
Yeah.
And then they let the Mongols in, and the Mongols were like, well, we're under new management.
Wow, I never heard that one. Kutuzov, born in Russia, died in Prussia.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
He was a big guy.
But he was a cool general. Horatio. What about him?
Nelson?
Yeah.
We already talked about him.
But
Trafalgar.
Yeah. And it was
He
a big thing.
died with his men.
Yeah. That's all you can say.
Hey, but the British won though.
He won his last battle, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think he went to heaven or Valhalla?
I don't care.
Whoa! Andre Massena. Perhaps one of Napoleon's best marshals.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andre.
He's pretty alright.
He was pretty alright. He was second. He had the second best, most successful record, only to Napoleon, at the time. Is what this says.
Yeah.
Here's another marshal, Michael Ney.
Michael
Ney. Michel Ney.
He's alright. Jean Lannes is pretty good. We're really good at French pronunciations.
Yeah.
Louis Nicole Deval. Marat obviously went on to Bernadotte. Marat was king of Naples eventually. Marshal Bernadotte, he ended up being the king of Sweden, and he when it came to support Napoleon obviously expected him to side with him because he was his former marshal.
Yeah.
And he ended up choosing. Bernadotte ended up choosing the people of Sweden over Napoleon and favoring his own country.
Yeah.
Dang, it be your own
still to
homies.
this day, his family's still in power.
Oh,
the Bernadotte family.
That's cool. The
It be your own homies.
Yeah. and it's funny, the King of Naples guy, that was the guy that switched side multiple times.
He was also he was a very flamboyant, a fake field goal by Texas Tech, by the way, for a touchdown.
Oh yeah, I think he was hung by his own people. Is that the one?
Yeah, I don't think that's
the flamboyant guy that was killed by his own people?
No, he was flamboyant when he was a commander for Napoleon.
Oh. But I thought the people eventually got sick and tired of him and he got hung for it.
He died at 48. It doesn't say his cause of death.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on.
I mean, he's pretty young.
Oh no, he was executed by firing squad.
Oh yeah. That's the guy the people didn't like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the opposite of Bernadotte, where he was. Both were good marshals, but he was not a good ruler, unlike Bernadotte.
No. He just liked the fame.
He liked the fame, yeah.
But let's go to the conquistadors. Francisco Pizarro or Hernan Cortez. Everyone knows Cortez. Cortez. But do you think the Spanish were effective against the Aztecs?
I mean, apparently they won.
Do you think if the Aztecs never got the diseases, they would have stood a fighting chance?
No, because it wasn't just the Spanish fighting the Aztecs. It was like there was a lot of people that did not like the Aztecs.
Their own people,
Yeah.
technically, were fighting them too.
Yeah. It was like all the Aztecs' neighbors were like helping the Spanish fight them. Like a whole bunch of people did not like the Aztecs in that area.
Yeah, the Aztecs, it's not popular when you sacrifice a bunch of people. It doesn't really work well.
Human sacrifice, not cool, dude.
And Cortez was kind of a crazy guy because he was the guy that burnt his own ships. It was like, we're going to beat these guys or we're going to die. And it worked because they beat them.
Yeah, the Tarascans.
Yo, how'd they get back
the
to Spain
Mayans.
if they burnt their own shit?
Maybe they left one. He was just trolling them and he burnt like the fake
hit
ship.
one?
Yeah.
This one's for me, guys.
He's like, just in case we actually lose, we have one ship, so I could go back home. but don't tell the guys. All right. And then they won. Anyways.
What era of history do you guys want to learn more about?
Well, I want to be a professor of Russian 20th century history, so I guess I'm more enamored with 19th century is what I really like. Because that was when wars were still kind of respectable, at least if you're European or on the same side.
The U.S. Civil War was pretty sad.
Because our Civil War was it was not a good time to live in the United States, but it was kind of a good time post 1848 to live in Europe.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast about the French Revolution. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it was crazy
I know a bit about that.
I read I had to write a paper for my history class, and it was a British correspondent to the Franco-Prussian War, and it's hilarious how correspondents were back then, because you were just given a bunch of grant money, and you just show up under the French general, and he just showed up under the French general, and he was like, the British were so cocky the French were gonna beat the Prussians. They was like, he went up into like a tower, and he was like, the French are gonna beat the Prussians, it's all right. And then he went back down, and all the Prussians were everywhere, and the French ran, and the Prussians, it was hilarious, he didn't know German, so they just kept him as a captive. And then they had a English-speaking Prussian. They're like, you're good to go, you're just a correspondent. And they're like, on one occasion you can't go back to where you were a correspondent to for 7 days.
Wow.
That was the thing. That's hilarious.
Only 7 days.
Yeah, where it's it shows how civilized the wars were back then. Because if it was way later, you would just get shot if you were a correspondent. They'd be like, who's this guy? Kill him.
Who's this guy?
It's funny how it worked between some of the European countries back then. It was just it's such a level of honor where they didn't kill people willy-nilly. They kind of they spared you unless they didn't like you.
Yeah.
There was a lot of paranoia though, because in the correspondent's letter, he got captured by the French later, who thought he was a Prussian spy.
Oh.
Because he came from that area, and he was trying to convince them he wasn't Prussian, and they didn't believe him until another Frenchman vouched for him and saved his life. But it was a very interesting document to read, and it's just kind of funny that. That's how it worked back then. You just pulled up. You're like, all right, I'm a correspondent. I'm just gonna write what's happening. All right, and then you're just waiting, watching.
Just in one of the most important meetings of the entire thing. Don't mind me, fellas. I'm just chilling over here.
Yeah, keep fighting. I got this.
Just writing with my with my quill,
Yeah, one of our worst defeats for Americans. One of our worst defeats in our history is against the Native Americans.
Yeah.
They've kicked their ass on a few occasions, but it was the frontier. I forget the specific battle near Ohio, Michigan area, where we kind of just thought we were gonna, bulldoze them, and we didn't. We got absolutely destroyed because we had no tactics against them. but
Get wrecked.
yeah. But over time, we just wear them out. Pretty much is how it worked.
Yeah.
They just got worn out. And then if they could have teamed up with the Mexicans, but it was too late then, and we destroyed Mexico. And then,
God.
yeah. What do you guys think? What if Mexico invaded us before the Mexican-American War? How do you think that would have panned out?
We still would have won.
Still
We still
probably
we just would have taken
It's
over
harder to be-
Mexico.
It's harder to be the aggressor than it is to be the.
Yeah. But we did it. We
Yeah,
invaded and
that's
we
what I'm saying,
kicked
is
their
that
ass.
we- That's why I'm saying the Mexico wouldn't stand a chance.
And it was the Mexican-American War for us was a crazy precursor to the Civil War.
Because a lot of the generals that were big name generals and all that. And
Zachary Taylor.
Yeah, we're very young.
the Civil
Garfield,
War were
right?
junior officers in the Mexican American War.
Yeah, Garfield and I think it was Ulysses and Sherman all wrote, like, they have writings you can read when they were at the time. I think it was Ulysses that wrote a book, and he was the one that really didn't like the Mexican-American War. He was against it because he said that we're literally invading a different country and just expanding land, and this isn't going to end well. And I guess it technically didn't end well because the Civil War.
So Ulysses.
Not too soon after that.
He wasn't a big James K. Polk guy.
Yeah, the 19th century was not great for the United States to live.
Started off
here.
alright.
It started 1812 and the British and all that.
I mean, started
I
off.
mean, they kind of burnt our capital.
Yeah, things seemed grim.
But,
And then-
but to be fair, we paid them back at the Battle of New Orleans.
Yeah, Andrew Jackson really kicked their
Yeah.
ass. And then, it was just kind of ups and downs. We're like, oh, this is really bad. And then it's like, all right, things are going good. We destroyed Mexico. We're expanding. Civil War.
Yeah.
And then it's like everything's terrible. Civil War. Everyone's dying.
Well, in that era, you needed a really good leader, and we had a lot of leaders who would have been okay presidents in different time frames,
Yeah.
but they were in the worst era.
But we got lucky with Lincoln. Lincoln was a good leader at the right time.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite.
He was just what the
presidents.
doctor ordered.
Yeah, he's not the favorite president of all time for me, but definitely top 10. He deserves.
definitely.
I'd put him in the top 5, maybe.
Yeah,
I'd
he
put him
might
in
break top 5.
He's in my top 5 favorite. Now he's not my favorite president.
Yeah, Theodore
I think
is
we
my
all-
favorite.
I think we're all in agreement
Yeah.
that Teddy Roosevelt's
Yeah.
a fucking badass.
Teddy
He
is
didn't like-
awesome.
He didn't like being called Teddy.
Yeah, he didn't like being called Teddy. One of the most badass quotes for him ever was it his speaker that said this? His former speaker that said if he was awake, there would have been a fight. Death had to take him in his sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that his speaker? His former speaker that said that? I don't know.
I forget, but I've heard that of him before. so
Yeah, a quote for
he
him.
He had to die sleeping because if he was awake, he would have fought death.
Yeah, and his family's awesome. But it's funny, we got Teddy thanks to like kind of a not so great president that got killed. Adam
McKinley?
Adam
He was
McKinley.
alright.
He was eh.
Yeah.
He wasn't awful, but he wasn't great.
He was better than Cleveland.
Yeah, well, yeah, but
Yeah, I just think
better than Cleveland and better than Woodrow.
McKinley was just
Well,
meh.
Wilson was later. But I was going
Wilson,
who he
man, I hate
took
that
over.
guy.
Yeah. Sadly, Theodore kind of is responsible for giving us Woodrow.
Wilson. Yeah.
It's the good with the bad, but Woodrow was a doozy. It was pretty
Taft was
dang bad.
great.
Taft was all right.
What?
He was a better justice than a president.
He was like
Well, he wanted.
Supreme Court
He
justice.
always wanted to be a justice more than he wanted to be president.
Yeah. If only Theodore kind of would have set up someone else or himself to be president again. He's just, yeah.
Yeah.
He just thought it wasn't going in the right direction. Because I don't think he intended to even run for president. And then he was like, oh, everything's going terrible.
Well, Taft never wanted to run for president. Roosevelt had to convince him, like, yeah, no, man, you're the right guy for the job.
Kind of
Yeah.
Theodore Roosevelt's downfall.
Wow, Vanderbilt's beating Texas.
But frickin' Roosevelt was like, I think he was president at the time, and he was like, yeah, you'd be a great president. He was like, oh, really? And then,
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Get in this bathtub. And then it didn't work well.
Taft died in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that would have been a cool time to just see the United States under Theodore Roosevelt. Like, being alive when he was president would be a cool time to experience the United States.
And then we didn't have Our next good president was after Roosevelt was probably
Yeah, Coolidge.
the Roaring 20s.
FDR's not even my top 10 favorites, but he's definitely was a strong leader at the right time.
Yeah.
Even though I don't really like him.
At the right time. He had a lot of time.
Well, yeah, he had a long time. I don't really agree with a lot of his policies, but I honestly like Truman more than him.
Truman's in my top 5, I think.
Yeah, Truman actually was almost way different ideologically than FDR.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy because they both were Democrats, but they both were very
Well,
different.
that's the thing, though, is that, like,
One was
not all Democrats are the same.
Yeah.
There was a quote I thought in my head last night, and I wrote it down. I'll read it to you after the podcast because I can't remember it off the top of my head. But basically, what it boils down to, here's a synopsis of it, is that as time will go on, there will be countless of different problems that like arise and stuff. And everybody will have a different opinion on every single problem that happens.
Well, yeah. As humans, we're very complicated.
Yeah.
We're all very different, so we're not all going to agree on the same thing. That's why it's crazy when you have that countries are even a thing to begin with. Especially large countries like China, United States, Russia. These huge countries with so many people, somehow they even exist is kind of an anomaly because it takes so many people to, work together to keep it functioning. Is kind of the crazy thing to me, is as humans we're able to somehow work together so much to create these huge, large, great things, but we're also disagree with each other so much that it prevents us from being great. I mean, hell, we've already been to the moon, but we haven't been to the moon since what? First time we went, and but yeah, but we're going to Mars soon. Did you guys see the SpaceX? I did this. They launched a probe that's going to
1972.
Didn't they?
Europa.
Yeah, didn't they make something though that was gonna supposed to be a thing that self lands too?
Yeah, I think it's still working on that.
Still working on that.
But they just launched a probe that's going to go to the moon of Jupiter, Europa.
Yeah.
It's so Europa is one of the few moons that doesn't have craters on it, and the theory is that there's an ocean under the crust, and it's ever so expanding because of its orbit.
Do you know what I think's funny?
What?
Europe's named after a person that's not even from Europe.
Yeah. Well, who is it named after?
Europa.
Europa.
It's like a Roman myth, but yeah. So it's a Roman myth. The bull, Zeus or Jupiter, was in disguise as a bull.
It's Europa.
Yeah, no, but AI was like, Europe. This is a continent that takes 2% of the world.
But he felt, and then he apparently stole Europa from the island of Tyre.
Oh.
That would make sense. That
went to Crete. And yeah,
and that became the continent name.
And then they just apparently they just
no. It would make sense that it was a Roman individual, or is it a make believe individual?
Or Greek individuals, ancient Greek,
a god. Yeah. Because a lot of our planets that we name in our solar system and moons that we name are named after Roman gods.
I think we named it Europa because again, it's a very unique moon. And the question is that there's if there's organisms under the crust that live in the ocean, because that's what we had in our Earth, millions of years ago, where we had oceans under, and it made. Oh yeah. Okay, we won't get into that. It's science here.
Allegedly.
But it starts with single-celled organisms. Because you don't need the sun to be shining to have living creatures. You can have organisms under the water from the heat. And their theory is that
chemical stew.
The reason this planet gets heat is because
it's like $2.
Is because the orbit has its stretch, and when something stretches, it generates heat. So that's the theory. There. But the thing is, they can't get a probe there without it. The radiation is what destroys it. So their goal with this new thing is the probe is going to orbit a little far away from Jupiter, and every 3 years is going to come up on Europa and do an orbit and then come back out.
Interesting.
That's their theory. But maybe there's alien life, even if it's a single-celled organism on Europa.
Maybe there is.
No, there definitely is. but not in our solar system.
Well, I think
There
Europa could have
Maybe.
organisms.
Maybe, but
there won't be aliens you and I know. It'll be some little single cell
Of
organism.
course, we're not going to beat the individual, but we're...
Well, maybe we could shrink ourselves. Hey, how you doing?
No, I mean, there could be... Here's the thing. I don't think there's going to be single-celled organisms on Europa, but maybe I'll be wrong.
I mean, the evidence, the theory seems pretty legit.
Yeah.
I could definitely see there being, like, single-cell organisms, because it doesn't take a lot for those to exist, per se. You know, I think there's probably life on other planets very far away that we don't know about, just because the universe is... depending on even your theory of it, do you guys think it's ever so expanding? Do you think it ends, or do you
No,
think?
I think it's ever so expanding.
Yeah, I just think there's some other life out there. It's
There's
just-
most definitely. I believe there's other life out there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just they probably have a podcast called the, and it's some, I don't know, their version of a bagel on their planet. Yeah, I love.
They probably don't say, yeah, I love. I think their languages are probably completely different.
Or they, like, imagine creatures that speak with, like, their nose or something.
Holden did a demonstration for us.
Yeah, that would be crazy. And Voyager, is it 1 and 2, or is it just Voyager 2 that is, like, our only satellite that's, we don't even know where it's at because we lost contact with it, where we sent it out. And it has the little disc that has all the music and stuff of the time, which is 60s music. Yeah, Johnny Be Good on it. Imagine the aliens get it. This is what they're listening to now. Johnny Be Good.
Lost contact with Voyager 2.
Yeah, so it's just somewhere.
We actually did send out a thing.
The thing, John Carpenter. The aliens are gonna love this.
Aliens could have, found Voyager 2, heard all that stuff, and,
Now they speak English?
Yeah.
I just imagine, like, aliens actually found it and they're like, alright, what do they want us to do with this shit? And they threw it away in the trash.
So you're like, what the fuck's this?
No, we actually sent out a shuttle or something. And it actually does play the song Across the Universe by the Beatles, and we sent it across the universe.
That's cool. But the aliens are probably going to get Johnny Be Good, that one version, and be like, alright.
Chuck Berry.
That's crazy. Do you think Chuck Berry even knew that
No.
his legacy is now somewhere captured by aliens?
I feel like Chuck Berry died a long time ago. He died in 2017.
Well, yeah. He was probably the last one to be in contact with the aliens. They're like, this is good music. Contact him. What the hell's going on? That's what killed him. He got, like, probed, and they're, like, aliens.
All right,
For all millennia now, aliens are all Chuck Berry super fans.
We have an alien come here. Where's Chuck Berry? He died. No! And they, like, start destroying our planet.
They make a religion out of Chuck Berry?
Yeah. They, like, take his body and resurrect him.
The Berryism.
He's like, how's it going? And he's like, oh, don't make me play with Yoko Ono again. Yoko Ono is like the devil in this religion. We cannot trust Yoko Ono.
Oh, man.
And John Lennon's like Jesus. He got killed. But
with Yoko Ono.
But yeah, it's fun to hypothesize what the universe and all that holds. Do you guys think in our lifetimes we'll see any like huge space breakthrough, like they find something or
Hypothesize.
we make it to Mars?
I think we'll make it to Mars.
In our lifetime?
No. Yeah.
Okay. No. Who do you think will be the first guy? Will be like some Kentuckian or?
Do you know how far away Mars is?
It would take a few months to get there.
It would take longer than that.
I think they said if we're traveling, near the speed of light, we could get there in.
About 140 million miles.
Yeah,
So it's like, I don't even know how to equate that.
if we can make technology that's near the speed of light, we could get there in a not so long time.
If you get there at the speed, if you're traveling at the speed of light, you can get there in a couple minutes.
Well, yeah, but like near the speed of light.
It's not the next question, or the second question isn't even NASA. It's how long will it take SpaceX to get to Mars?
What do they say?
The program aims to send 1 million people
see?
to Mars.
Yeah, 80 to 150 days. That's not that long. We just chill out in space, have a cocktail.
Right.
50 days.
That's such a stupid. Like, it's not gonna happen.
Whoa.
There's no. I doubt.
Owen's a pessimist.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Elon's gonna be pissed when he hears
Sure,
this.
we could do it eventually. Not in our lifetime, I don't think. Because it says
What if we live to 80?
projected era is now until 2041 of us going to Mars.
So 2041's the last day, the last year. 2041, December 31, the day
Can you
that'll
imagine-
live, and then.
Can you imagine? It's like, all right, this is the last day we're allowed to go to Mars.
What I like to imagine, it's like a huge debacle. Like Elon dies, so the company goes to someone else, and he's like
Jeff Bezos.
he's like the Napoleon III. So he's like incompetent, and he's like
Elon Musk has to have
he's like
children first.
he's like, we'll send 1 million people right now, and they all die instantly. And he goes, it was a tragedy. It was something we didn't see.
Well, I shouldn't say that. Napoleon III isn't technically Napoleon's grandson.
It's his nephew.
It's
Yeah.
so Napoleon's brother's grandson, I think.
Yeah, even worse. It's not an Augustus situation.
Napoleon
here.
II was actually Napoleon's son, but he died very young. It was like Henry VIII's kid.
Yeah. Oh, another general we didn't mention. I guess he's
Not married.
more the emperor Augustus. He's awesome.
Augustus,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Augustus.
he was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Oh,
had
yeah.
no, he had Agrippa did most of like the strategic like fighting and all that stuff.
yeah.
For him.
Octavian, but he still
yeah.
deserves credit
Yeah,
for
no,
what
he
he
deserves
did.
credit for a lot of stuff he did. I'm just saying, so
He
like,
was
when it
old
comes to
enough
the
to,
military stuff, though, I think
Yeah.
Agrippa was
did
his
more.
right hand man, and he was the one that really was the mastermind behind
I-
most of Octavian's like military success.
Yeah, that's true. Octavian was more popular among the people and more of a
Yeah,
people
Octavian was
person.
just more of like the political mind and all that stuff. But when
Yeah.
it came to military stuff, Agrippa clears.
It's like they're way less successful cousins, Hitler and Rommel.
Augustus was old enough to see the birth of Jesus, but Jesus, I think, outlived him.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So in the Bible, in some versions of the Bible, it argued that Augustus knew of Jesus, but in terms of actual historical record of Jesus, that wasn't religious. It was a Roman historian that was long after Jesus' death wrote about him, and it was more just like a religious guy that was
Yeah.
popular at the time. That's why the argument that Jesus did actually exist is some historian did write about him, but in the argument it was after his death. So
Yeah.
again,
It's weird that they don't know his birth or death date specifically. I guess it makes sense because he wasn't like a high figure.
yeah. Also, it was a long time ago. Like
no.
even a lot of leaders we don't know the death of, even though they
Yeah.
say it. It's just
He was either born in the year 6, 5, or 4 BC, and he either died in 30, 31, 32, or 33 AD. So
because could you imagine he comes back and he's like, well, you guys actually had it right. That would be hilarious. Jesus comes back and he's on TV arguing with like, I don't know, a Scientologist.
Bro,
Yeah.
bro, you know what's crazy? If Jesus came back right now, nobody would believe him.
Well, yeah. That's the thing, though. What if
Well, what
he did come
language
back
would
and
he
he was
speak
killed in the Boxer Rebellion?
yeah,
Or that was his brother.
He gets,
He argued to be his brother.
he gets an opioid addiction.
But what if he actually was his brother? He's like, guys, I'm actually his brother. All right, pal. And then they killed
All
him.
right, pal.
Well, okay.
Tell it to the judge.
If a guy came back and started speaking Aramaic, then maybe I'd believe him.
Oh, the language.
Well, how would I know what the hell Aramaic sounds like?
Well, if you're a smart guy. Then
Yeah. I just imagine Jesus actually comes back and he speaks to a homeless guy, and the homeless guy's the one that understands him. I know!
Everybody's gonna think he's crazy though.
Yeah.
Well, if he's a homeless guy and he knows Aramaic, then how is he a homeless guy?
Because he's retarded. I don't know.
Really, some guy's coming up to me speaking Aramaic. I'm like, oh, this guy's gaslighting me in gibberish.
Hang on. English to Aramaic. 1 second.
English to Aramaic.
It's not even a thing.
Well, yeah, because nobody speaks it anymore.
Yeah, I guess there's no Phoenician on here either.
Yeah, that Jesus needs to imagine like we have
Jesus
to
needs to take a bath.
imagine we need to teach him English. Like he's only speaking Aramaic, so he's
We
like,
don't
oh
need
no.
to- That's the Christian mindset, right? We need to teach him English and no other language. Just
Yeah.
English, nothing else.
Well, fine. He comes back and he's in Peru, so now we have to
That's
teach
fine.
him Spanish.
We can teach him Spanish. We can teach him Dutch if he wants.
It would be depressing if he comes back to the wrong country, where he's like, I don't know, he comes.
The United States?
Yeah, and he's like, hey guys, and he gets stabbed and mugged by some random guy.
On MLK Boulevard.
Yeah.
It's always MLK Boulevard.
Yeah, he shows up and he's like in Baltimore and he's like,
Whoa.
this is a lovely city. You guys really built the things up. Oh,
Comes back in Baltimore.
he dies, and he's like, pops back in heaven, and God's like, what's up? What happened? He's like, you should know what happened. You just saw it.
Yeah, he needs to go back to Bethlehem, not Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Bethlehem. Everyone will welcome in open arms.
Bro, can you just imagine, like, he comes back and then, like,
Dude, what if
he
it-
immediately gets stabbed.
Yeah.
God's just like, welcome home, champ.
What if it's like a machine that misinterprets which Bethlehem it is, and they send him back to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and he's like, "What am I doing here?" And then everyone's like, "Go Steelers!" And then,
This is even crazier. I imagine like God has like angels who are engineers. They're like, all right, Jesus, we've been working on this machine
that's
for
how I view it
generations.
as. Like they're just robots.
And then God, I imagine God and Jesus had an argument where Jesus is like, why don't I just come back now? And God's like, you don't understand. You'll just get killed or something. He's like, you know what? I'm coming back now. And he comes back and gets killed. And God's like, what'd I tell you? And then Lucifer is like, you know, the drunk uncle. He's like, yeah, you know.
The drunk uncle. I think the drunk uncle.
I don't think Republic sectaries.
Watto. Watto is the equivalent of Satan. In this
Well, yeah, he was terrible for the Star Wars
Yeah.
franchise. But
Just a second.
yeah, I mean the devil. It's funny in all like terms of Bible and stuff. Jesus and devil, they didn't like. Jesus doesn't hate the devil. He kind of wants the devil to be good, so he's always with the devil. That's the devil.
That's the devil.
But Jesus and devil in Lucifer were
That
like
should be a TV show.
like good pals.
Jesus and devil. On Saturday night.
But it's God. God's the one who doesn't like the devil. Because God, it's funny. God's the one that it really depends what you believe in. But in some scripture, like God's the one that's a little more emotional because he's the one who sent everyone to hell for being a dumbass. Where Jesus was like, well, humans are just dumbasses, so it's not unfair to send them to hell for being dumbasses.
Guy.
Well, no, Satan is just more emotional. He's more like a human, where God isn't. God's like, you guys, why aren't you guys perfect?
So
I literally made
if you
you.
think about it, if you're not perfect, so everybody, you're going to hell.
Yeah. Well, The Simpsons predicted that.
Yeah.
Everyone goes to hell. But we don't go to hell because of Jesus in terms of Christianity, because he's the one who stood up for
In
everyone.
terms of Christianity.
Yeah. I feel like Islam and Judaism is a little easier. It's just like you're going to heaven or not based off being a good
Or if
person.
you go to Buddhism and Hinduism.
Well, Buddhism, you don't. There's nothing. It's
No,
just
it's reincarnation.
Yeah. Well, some Buddhism.
Hinduism's reincarnation.
Yeah. Buddhism is you find enlightenment. You're like
Yeah.
one with nature and you're gone, pretty much. Yeah.
Buddhism is great.
Yeah. It's kind of awesome, but there's some things that aren't awesome, like starving
you can't-
yourself.
And then in Hinduism,
That's
it's reincarnation.
pretty
Though you can break the cycle of reincarnation once you hit nirvana. Which
Yeah. Which is kind of like enlightenment.
Yeah,
Is that what
pretty
Kurt
much
Cobain was
enlightenment.
trying to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He tried to hit
He
Nirvana.
tried to hit nirvana and he accidentally slipped and
Shot himself.
in the head with a
Yeah.
Do you believe in the conspiracy theory that his wife killed him?
Yeah, his wife's a terrible
you do-
human
you
being.
do? Okay.
Conspiracy theory, it happened. And
As
Courtney
far as
Love-
I'm concerned, it's not conspiracy
Well, no.
theory. It's a fact.
Yeah.
It has to be a conspiracy theory if a very small minority believes it. I think a small minority believes that.
Well, the Courtney Love thing is kind of like pretty big. There's a whole documentary about it. So I mean, it's
Hang on.
crazy. When you looking up the documentary, Courtney Love.
Did Courtney Love do it?
It's gonna be a porno.
Let's go to Reddit.
Oh God.
Okay, this was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
Kurt Cobain did a huge, allegedly very lethal amount of heroin and then shot himself, which is not only extremely rare, the two acts in combination, but also pretty hard to do. It is pretty hard to do heroin and then shoot yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to do it last week and failed.
Yeah. See? So
I ended up accidentally blowing someone else's head off.
yeah, Kurt Cobain.
Well, another conspiracy theory that there was this Instagram page that I just kept laughing at. He actually believes it, and there's so many posts about it on his page. But it's the stupid Paul McCartney died in 1966.
Oh my god!
The account is like, dude, I can't believe Billy Shears is still alive, and he's ruining the name of Paul McCartney. Like even if that's the case, Billy Shears is pretty successful.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing here?
In the
Billy Shears.
Yeah, the conspiracy theories are crazy.
And
There's
then-
theories now about Matthew Perry that he didn't that he was killed. It's actually under
an actual
investigation.
investigation.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they arrested his doctor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his doctor and his assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's like probably real. Like the more sad thing with him, besides his doctors, is people were literally taking money from him.
Yeah.
And his donors, their donors were pocketing money and
Taking
not.
advantage of his addiction.
So it's kind of sad it comes out now.
But with the Paul thing, it's so silly because like the guy who his account is like
Pete Best.
the account is like Paul McCartney used to be so cute and now he's ugly. I was like,
What?
Yeah, he looks the exact same as he did.
Do you discover what aging is?
Yeah, that's what he was. He was such a good Beatle. Now he's terrible.
Yeah, Pete Best is the best.
What are you talking about with Pete Best? Is there a Pete Best conspiracy theory?
Yeah, is he dead?
No, he's alive. He's touring. He toured in Columbus.
What does he tour? What music does he make? Honey.
Oh my god!
He looks like the devil.
Bro, he looks so bad.
Yeah.
Look at this. I was getting sick of him.
John Lennon had. See, even John had the common sense to kick his ass.
He was born in India.
What?
Kind of crazy, actually.
So he was a colonist. He doesn't deserve our respect.
Bro, he was.
He enslaved the Indian people.
He enslaved Paul's family.
Yeah. What the heck? Paul has killed him.
He was the.
Kills him.
Oh no.
Nobody talks about this guy though. He was a Beatle as well.
Stuart Shoofley.
Wasn't he like their first?
He was the bassist, the original
Oh,
bassist.
But didn't everyone hate him?
No.
He died.
Yeah, he died.
Humbug.
He quit the band before he died, and John was pissed that he quit.
I'm pretty sure he quit before they hit big.
Why was John pissed?
Because they were like best friends.
Oh.
He quit because he wanted to become a painter.
He did. He hated playing bass, basically.
Oh. Did he succeed in becoming a painter?
No, because he died.
He could have succeeded for a year and then died.
But his wife, Stuart's
Killed him?
wife. No, Stuart's wife invented the Beatle haircut, basically.
Oh.
Like by
She invented the Beatles.
yeah. She I think she cut John's hair, and he was like, "Well, this is all right."
Well, this is all right. It's crazy John had to go and get himself shot.
Yeah. He had to go. Well, I think he got shot because he was out in the studio recording something, and then he came back, and then
Yeah.
that's when.
And he was an idiot because
The
he was.
last autograph he signed was for his killer.
Yeah, he was like, "What are you gonna do? Shoot me?" And then he shot him. What are you gonna do? Shoot me?
Yeah.
And Ronald Reagan was like, "Do not try that on me, Fozo."
The guy who shot him, he called out his name, but before he had the chance to turn around, he shot him 5 times.
He's like, "Hey!"
And then he did a Fortnite dance. Then he did a Fortnite dance over John's body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then his death was reported during a Monday Night Football game with the Dolphins and Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Patriots.
Dolphins Patriots.
But no, that because Lennon was on that program like 6 years before, and the guy who called the death actually interviewed Lennon that year in '74.
Was Marino all choked up about it?
Marino wasn't even a thing. He was at Pitt. He was at Pitt at the time.
Oh, he was in the pits of the
My
pit.
dad spoke to Marino when it happened. Marino was inconsolable.
He's probably getting
Sorry,
drunk.
Bob Greasy or whoever that asshole was at
Dolphins
quarterback.
QB in 1980.
Bob Greasy.
I seen it on his face. He was inconsolable.
He couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it was greasy.
He was a quarterback for that long? Was he
Yeah.
part of their undefeated season?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's one of their 3 retired numbers.
Why weren't you a Dolphins fan growing up?
Yeah, it would have been a lot less insufferable.
Yeah, you'd be like, we won 1 Super Bowl, we are undefeated, and everyone would love you.
2 Super Bowls.
Oh,
Super
the
Bowls.
second one doesn't count.
What? The second one was the perfect season.
Oh, yeah, alright.
They went back to
The
back.
first one doesn't count.
I don't know.
I don't remember what the first one was
How
actually.
do you know? I think they beat the Cowboys in the first one.
Yeah, and then the second one they beat the Redskins
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah, why are you the Dolphins or Redskins fan? What's wrong with you?
Oh well, you see,
Nate's two favorite teams are the Browns and the 49ers.
49. Oh my god.
yeah.
You're Tom Brady.
He was the only person at the Super Bowl party in 2019 who was like, "Go Niners" over the Chiefs, and that was the Chiefs' first Super Bowl since the 70s.
Bro,
now everyone hates the
time.
Chiefs.
Bro, I was
Yeah.
hating on them before it was cool.
It's true.
I still don't dislike the Chiefs.
Me neither.
If they did a three-peat, I'd be fine with it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Unless they beat the Bengals in the playoffs.
I don't know why.
They've been
But I
making
just
history
find-
if they three-peat.
I just find the Chiefs to be much more unlikable than the Patriots when they were like doing their thing.
Nah, they're both equally unlikable. But you earlier said I can't have the Chiefs win because then that's another dynasty, and that the last.
Well, that
there's
too.
Too many dynasties.
But they already
The
are a
Cowboys
dynasty.
Dynasty was the best dynasty. I can't believe this.
But they already are a dynasty.
Which dynasty
by
was the
now.
best dynasty? You said.
The Cowboys was the best dynasty. We would have won 4 in a row.
Not
Woulda,
the
coulda, shoulda.
But we won 2 in a row. We won 3 in 4 years.
So
which
did
is
the
still
So did
great.
the Patriots.
So the Patriots suck. They did it in the era full of babies and sissies.
No, they didn't.
We did it in an era of men.
They did it 5 years later. After you.
Yeah, full of babies and sissies. Tom Brady was like, "Oh, don't hurt my pinky. Oh, tuck and roll, save me."
He had to beat the likes of Ed Reed and Ray Lewis.
And pay off the refs to help him out.
See, now we're complaining about the Patriots.
Where the Cowboys won with no flags.
Yeah, they had plenty of flags.
Yeah, against them. but
Alright.
the
Really hard to beat the Bills.
but the okay, pal.
Okay.
We beat the Steelers in one of them, and they're a tycoon. But
But now the
Steelers have more Super Bowls than the Cowboys.
well, okay, but we beat
Well,
them
hey,
last. That's all that
The
matters.
Steelers, I think, only have 2 Super Bowl losses, and one is to
Dallas.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, 2 good teams. I rooted for Green Bay, and I rooted for the Cowboys when they beat the Steelers.
Yeah, you were alive for that.
But do you guys think the Chiefs are gonna three-peat
Nah.
Nah.
at this? No.
Well, maybe. Their defense is really good.
Their defense is good, but I have
Mahomes
to
has
keep.
to step it up.
Will they go undefeated on the season?
No.
Now,
What?
That's not going to happen.
What makes you say that?
They're
Cincinnati's gonna beat them. Book it.
Yeah.
No, we already lost.
Yeah, what are they gonna beat them in the playoffs?
No, they'll lose. Hang on. Let me look at this. No, my computer.
They play the Raiders this weekend, don't they?
Raiders are gonna beat them.
What?
Book it.
The Raiders.
Suck it. Wait,
They lost to the Raiders last.
last. The Raiders will absolutely sweep them. So they play the Raiders, then they
That's
got
a win.
the Buccaneers,
That's a win.
the Chiefs,
That's a win.
the Broncos,
Yeah.
the Bills, Panthers, Raiders, again, Chargers, Browns, that's a win.
That's a dub.
That's
That's a dub.
Steelers on Christmas. Great, we got a great Christmas
God.
game.
They-
And then the Broncos is the regular season.
Fine.
finale.
They lose to the Steelers on Christmas.
I think they'll
That's
lose.
their only loss of the season.
No, I think they'll lose 4 games. I think.
What?
Yeah, I think they'll get swept by the Raiders and Broncos,
Whoa.
and the Broncos will win the division.
Okay, Perna.
Because the Broncos are gonna win out.
God.
Let's check out the Broncos.
The Browns are gonna beat them.
The Browns are winning 3-0.
Oh, by
my
the way,
God.
this is kind of funny
Whoa.
because we're predicting it, but when this gets uploaded, the game will actually be over. So we'll see who won by the time it's over.
Oh God.
Raiders.
Raiders.
Broncos.
Raiders.
Schedule. Shut up. They're 4-3, so they could potentially win out and win the division.
Potentially.
So if the Broncos just beat the, they play the Panthers tomorrow. That's good.
All right.
Then they have the Ravens. That's an easy win.
All right.
And then they have the Chiefs. Another easy win. And they got the Falcons, Raiders,
All easy wins.
and then the Browns.
That's gonna be a hard
that'll
one.
be an
Yeah.
L.
Yeah, that's their loss. That's their
Then
only loss.
The Colts, in Denver. Then they have the Chargers in L.A. Then they have the Bengals, and then they have the Chiefs to end the season.
In LA. But I think the Chiefs, who all in the playoffs will be the AFC?
Let me look it up. Who all in the playoffs will be the AFC?
Like a dyslexic person.
It just gives you the current playoff picture.
I think
Therefore, I am.
I definitely think the only team that could beat the Chiefs is probably Houston
Oh!
in the playoffs.
Not the Bengals?
But the Bengals need to make the playoffs. They're
Yeah,
a
the
ninth
current-
seed currently.
The current standings are the Chiefs 1, Steelers 2, Texans 2, Bills 2, Ravens 2, Colts 6, Broncos 6.
So yeah.
Yeah. And then the NFC's the Lions 1, Commanders 2, Vikings 2, Packers 2, Eagles 5, Bears 5,
Ooh.
Buccaneers 7, Seahawks 7, Falcons 7.
You guys think the Lions will win the Super Bowl?
No.
No. Do you think the Lions will even make the Super Bowl?
Do you think they'll even make the playoffs?
No, Lions aren't making Super Bowl.
Oh.
Who's your 2 Super Bowl picks right now?
Hey Nate, let me help you out.
The Commanders and the Texans.
What? Yeah, that'll happen. Maybe in your dreams.
I like I'm getting it mad at him, but I pointed out the results. I think the Rams actually have a chance.
Rams?
Yeah, they're currently set at 11th, but with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, I think they could win.
Fine. Rams, Bengals, Super Bowl.
Browns, Cardinals.
It's gonna be Joe
Browns,
Montana
Cardinals.
all over again. We're gonna lose to Stafford twice, just like we lost.
Stafford. That would be crazy.
Just like we lost to Montana twice.
The final score will be 15-12.
All right, good year.
This is why you can't have nice things.
Nope.
And then
28-3.
Zach Taylor for his Super Bowl loss
Bro,
gets promoted to general manager.
They're just giving them false hope.
28-3.
It's just false hope.
Can you turn the Texas game on?
What are you complaining about?
God,
Hang on.
I think it's time we wrap this up.
We've been
The
going
podcast.
for an hour and 15 minutes.
So,
Hang on.
anyways, guys, it's been a chaotic podcast, but this is the last time you'll hear from Nate.
Yeah, Nate
for a
is
long
gonna be
time.
gone. Nate, you want to say what you're doing, basically? Because we haven't really talked about that.
I'm going to college.
Yeah.
No, okay.
He's going to
But
college.
be for real.
What university?
Be for real.
He doesn't need to be for real.
You can be for real.
What university?
I'm going to Stanford
All right,
Tech,
come on.
A&M.
Stanford Tech A&M. Where is that exactly?
That's in Idaho.
Idaho.
What is up?
Okay. We'll get the confirmation from Chrissy Boy over here. Oh, Texas regained the lead.
Nope. That's
Yeah.
Whoa. It's a brand new. It's a brand new university. It's actually not even technically, it hasn't been accredited yet. It's mostly because I just made it up, but
Oh.
This is the result I got for Stanford Tech and A&M.
Megan Trainor. All right.
no.
Anyways, guys, we'll end it off on Megan Trainor having a fun time. So,
Nate will get the last word of the podcast.
yeah. What do you want to say?
Megan Trainor, no.